Over the past year, I've been chasing an idea, one that stayed with me for months and kept me up at night. This isn't a review, it's a reflection. 1 year later, was this dream really worth chasing? I don't think this story starts with three used 55-inch OLED TVs, or flight simulators, or even this cockpit. I think it starts with a question. What if? If you've followed this channel for any length of time, you've probably noticed something about me. I've never been satisfied with, that's just how it's done. Not because I want to be different, because I've always wondered, what if there's a better way? That curiosity started long before this simulator. Years ago, I built a racing simulator, and at first it was all about racing. But before long, it became about solving problems. Every improvement led to another question. Every answer uncovered something else I wanted to understand. And without realizing it, that simulator was teaching me something far more valuable than racing. It taught me how to experiment, how to challenge assumptions, and how to keep asking, what if? Then another idea refused to leave me alone. What if I could build one cockpit that could become anything? An airliner, a helicopter, a jet fighter, an old warbird, a bush plane, or even a battle mech or an X-wing. Not by rebuilding the cockpit every time, but by building one cockpit that could become all of them. That idea stayed with me for months, and eventually I started searching videos, forums, photos, anything. I found incredible builders, I found incredible simulators, but I never found the one I couldn't stop imagining. Eventually I stopped searching, because I realized something. If I wanted to know whether this idea could work, I was going to have to build it myself. People ask me all the time, why not just use VR? And the truth is, for a long time I wasn't interested in VR. I tried it, I didn't think it was for me, but curiosity had me wondering if things had changed, so I gave it another chance. And today I love VR. I don't think this replaces it, and I don't think VR replaces this. They solve different problems. VR lets me disappear into another world, and this lets me bring that world into mine. I wouldn't want to give up either one. At some point, an idea stops becoming something you think about and becomes something you have to commit to, and that's where I found myself. The racing simulator I'd spent years building had become something I was genuinely proud of, but I couldn't build the flight simulator I imagined without letting it go. There wasn't another room, there wasn't unlimited space, there wasn't an unlimited budget. There was just one cockpit and one choice. So I started taking it apart, bolt by bolt, piece by piece. I remember standing there looking at what had become a pile of aluminum extrusion, monitors, cables, and parts I had spent years collecting, and wondering, have I just made a huge mistake? Because at that point there was no going back. And then came the next leap. 3 used 55-inch OLED TVs. I was nervous. I couldn't just go return these if it didn't work. But I still laugh thinking about it. My wife looked at me, looked at the TVs, looked back at me, and I'm pretty sure she thought I lost my mind. And honestly, I wasn't entirely convinced she was wrong. Because this wasn't just buying 3 televisions, it was betting on an idea with no blueprint, no guide, no guarantee. I had no way of knowing if the picture in my head would ever become reality. So I stopped searching and I started measuring, not inches, millimeters. Every adjustment, every decision was chasing one thing, a believable illusion. I didn't know if it would work. I only knew one thing. If I didn't try, I'd always wonder. And that wasn't a question I was willing to live with. I remember leaving a little airstrip in Tennessee, looking out over the golden colors of fall, the river winding beneath me. It was one of those places that just made you want to get down low and explore. And before long, the sun was setting, and then night fell. The hue lights dimmed, the light on my hands changed, my arms, my legs, the cockpit around me. Everything changed together. And in that moment, the simulator and my reality became one. But there was still one thing I wanted to know. I needed to know. What would it feel like to land? Would the ground come back to me the same way it had fallen away? And as I taxied into parking and shut everything down that day, I knew this was what I had been chasing for a long time. My dream was real. I was sitting inside it. I could look out of the windows, I could look up into the sky, I could lose myself in the experience. But every time I wanted to interact with it, the illusion broke. It was still a mouse clicking on a screen. I could see it, I could fly it, but I couldn't touch it. I couldn't bend my reality into the illusion. And that was the next question. If I could solve that, everything would change. Glass cockpits, GPS units, radios, knobs, buttons, switches, aircraft with touch panels, and suddenly they all became possible. There was just one problem. OLED TVs aren't touchscreens. I searched and eventually I found something. It wasn't what it was designed for, but maybe it didn't have to be. I remember opening the box. My first thought, it's too thick. This is going to ruin the illusion. I had spent months chasing a believable illusion and I wasn't about to lose it now. So I took it apart immediately, piece by piece. How thin can I make it? Can I hide it? There was only one way to find out. I had to try. It wasn't perfect. There are software limitations, little problems to solve, but I could interact with everything on screen. That was the goal. 1 year later, I still walk into that room sometimes before I even climb into the pit, and I just stand there looking at it. And then almost immediately, another question finds me. Where do I take it from here? What hasn't been explored? I've conditioned myself to always reach for what's beyond reach. And as I shared pieces of this project, so many of you started asking questions. How did you do that? Why did you choose this? Could I build something like this? And then I realized something. Everything I've learned over the last year needs to be shared. Not because this is the only way to build a simulator, it's not. But maybe something I learned can help you chase your own dream. We're going to explore all of it. The geometry, the touch functions, the displays, VR, the decisions, the mistakes, the little things that made big differences. Because the story of building it may be over, but the journey of exploring it and expanding it is just beginning. Was this dream really worth chasing? Absolutely. And maybe you've got one of those. Whatever it is, I hope you chase it too.